Hello, everyone. My name is Trish McCabe. Welcome to Conversations from the School of Hard Knocks. Today, I have my guest joining me once again, Opal Faye. Welcome.
Hi.
Yeah, this is very exciting. We are starting a series on the topic of the dark side and the light side of the ego and the variables, spiritual
hmm
bypassing, gaslighting. We'll get into that later. Today, what we've decided to start with is the dark side of the ego. The reason our objective in doing this is to put out some clarity about the ego and the purpose of the ego. Opal and I have been talking about how we see a lot in the spiritual communities, people talking about getting rid of their ego. But
Not
in our
possible.
journey, it's not possible. And it's like saying, don't be human. As Carl
Exactly.
Jung wrote, right? You probably read some of his stuff as well. The ego is a self, all of the self,
Exactly.
every aspect of the self, the dark and the light. And
hmm
that's where the ego comes into play. So I've seen a meme, we were talking about this, float around that says, love and the ego cannot exist at the same time. And that's not true. Why is that?
No, it's not because, sorry, I was shutting my door so I can make sure we didn't get interrupted. So, to love somebody, you love them with your heart and your soul. Your ego is here. Um, so you can have your ego and love somebody.
Yes.
The trick is to make friends with your ego. I call it understanding your demons. And the reason I call it that way is because the ego itself, it wants what it wants, but we as a society have been wired with fear. So, case in point, situation that happened last week. My boyfriend that I'm dating, we had a situation, and it was his kids or me. He was trying to determine. He can have both, but he was trying to determine which one was going to be easier for him to allow him to see his kids. And that put me in a really bad place because I have abandonment issues. So the first 2 days of us stepping away so that he could figure out what he needed to do, I was absolutely trapped in my negative traits of the ego. I was abandonment issues. Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I don't understand.
Why does this keep happening?
Why does this keep happening? When is it my
It's a pattern.
turn to get my happiness? Blah, blah, blah. And then
Yeah.
you slapped me out of it
Well, I don't know what I
verbally,
did, but
actually. You said that without yourself, it's always going to happen.
yeah,
And then I was like, wait a minute, I have
tough lesson.
myself. Hold on. I've done all this work. So I had to step back and I had to sit with me for a minute. I'm going, why? Why? And it's just because in that instant moment, the ego absolutely gets triggered.
Mhm.
So the dark side of my ego with that situation is to immediately, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? Don't you love me? Don't you want me? Blah, blah, blah. But then after you slap me out of it, I move towards, I can't do this. I have to let you go. I have to let you decide what you need to figure out. And I have to let you go with love. What's mine will always be mine. It didn't mean that it didn't hurt. It didn't mean that
Right.
the entire situation didn't hurt. Didn't mean that I didn't have any emotions about it. It didn't mean that I didn't cry or anything like that, but I wasn't internalizing it.
I'm going to read this, and I shared it with you, and I think it's spot on what we're talking about so you can understand specifically. And this is somebody sent this meme. When you wonder, why can't they see me? Why can't they
Mhm.
love me? Why is this so hard? That's your inner child speaking, screaming, yearning to be felt by you.
Absolutely.
The young part of you feels alone and needs more than you need that person, needs you more than you need that person who can't value you. And I don't know about the value part. And I don't know the can't part. Some people just, they can't give you what they don't have in that moment. That part's
Absolutely.
irrelevant. What we're talking about is ourselves
Absolutely.
and what only we can give to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's where the people pleasing factor comes in, where we look for someone to meet a need that cannot come from another. And believe me, folks, I'm grappling with this myself every day. It's ongoing.
It's serious. It really is. It really is. And I've been single for, we're just going to go ahead and say 6 years, because there were 3 years there that I was kind of dating, but they were really far away. So we're just going to call it as a talking situation. I've been single for 6 years, and in the last almost 3 months, there's been a lot of stuff that I thought I had, done the work on, and I'm going, ooh, yeah. You don't know something until you know something.
And so many people avoid being in relationships, and I understand that and respect that fully. But I'll just tell you, once you get into one,
If it's with the right
you're not,
person, it can
it's the only,
absolutely be
yeah.
option. Yeah,
It's the only way to, really the only way, not the only way, but it is a big factor in being good at being in a relationship is to be in one. Because we can talk
absolutely.
all we want. It's like rehearsal. I've talked about, you've used this metaphor when we rehearse, band rehearsal, right? It still will never be anything close to the live performance. It gets you
Exactly.
prepared for the confidence to show up, but it can be scary when you're in it, when you're
No,
on
you're
the stage,
absolutely
when the
right.
spotlight's on you, right? When you're actually in the relationship, you're like, holy crap, it brings up a lot of stuff,
Absolutely.
a lot
And
of
it's
stuff.
it's a lot of the dark side of the ego that gets triggered.
Yeah.
But it's our responsibility to understand that dark side of the ego and
Yes.
then make friends with it, because ultimately our ego is, I truly believe, going to be our biggest ally. They are the part of us that literally has our back, but it's the fact that we as a society are designed to be fearful. Please, I worry all the time. I'm a worry wart. Um, I can't tell you how many times a day I start rambling and he's going, Opal,
What is he
stop.
thinking? He's thinking I'm this, and oh,
Yes,
he's taking me
yes,
wrong, or just the constant second guessing ourselves.
yes. And he will look at me and or he will text me, or he will just, Opal, stop. Yes, sir. Because I know what I'm doing and I don't realize what I'm doing it until he goes, Opal. But it robs us from being present in the moment as well.
Yes.
There are some situations that we wouldn't be able to be fully in the moment with. Totally understandable.
Right.
But when there's no reason to worry about anything, why worry?
And worry, I'm finding, is very much part of attachment. When we
It
become
is.
attached to the outcome of something, we're missing what it
It is. Yeah.
is. We're
We're
not in the
missing.
moment. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
missing the cues that come
Uh,
along with the situation because we're so projecting what's happened to us. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. That fear that
Absolutely.
comes from repeating. And
But
the
see,
only way to
here's,
do that is not to worry. The
not
pattern
to
part is
worry
the worrying.
how
Yeah.
yeah, that's the toxic trait, is the constant
Oh my
worrying.
God.
Now,
Yes.
obviously, if I'm not saying if your teenager is on a road trip and
You're
they're
not going to
not with
worry.
you, not worry. I'm talking about the stuff that we absolutely don't need to worry about. I don't need to worry about what he's thinking. I don't need to worry about what he thinks of me, because at the end of the day, I've got me. And if he's here, great.
When
That's a
I'm learning
bonus.
about worrying, and this I'm still embarking upon the deeper levels of the stuff myself. I find that I worry when there isn't clarity,
That
when there isn't
right
clarity, you
there.
will worry because you're not sure.
Because you're
You
not
don't
sure,
have
and we have
confirmation.
been taught as a society to internalize instead of ask.
Everything. We've been taught to internalize
Everything.
everything.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. The
Yes.
gaslighting that
Yes.
makes it us. It isn't only us. It isn't.
Exactly. And I'm just as guilty of all of this. So please, I
Me
don't want anybody
too.
to think that I'm going, you can't do this. You shouldn't do this, but you're probably going to. But you can at least identify what's happening and take a step back and recenter yourself. Um, because one thing that I've learned in starting this self discovery, that's what we're going to call it, this self discovery journey, is
Mm,
that if you choose to go into the spiritual community or the religious community, they're they teach you to be positive all the time. Let go and God will handle it, or peace, love, and light, and all that kind of stuff. And you have to stay positive. No, sometimes you cannot stay positive. Sometimes you have to feel those negative emotions. When all of this was going on last week,
mm, that's
and
so
I
true.
didn't know the outcome, and I didn't know if we were even going to be together, it hurt. And I had to let myself feel those emotions. Even though I know that what was for me was always going to be for me and I didn't have to fight for it, even though I knew that I had made the right choice to say, hey, you need to go figure this out. I'm letting you go so that you can figure this out so that you don't have me adding to your life of living hell right now.
Mm.
I still had to cry. I still had to feel my anger. I still had to feel those emotions. And had I bypassed them like I did the last time I split up with somebody, it would take a lot longer for me to move past it. Just in case anybody's wondering, he made the choice. He chose me. We're working through the other issues, but I do still have those emotions that I'm still trying to work through because in my brain we broke up, even though in his brain we didn't break up, if that makes any sense.
This
So
is why you will see me on my page constantly saying your feelings are where the light is. If you don't
absolutely,
allow yourself to feel them, you're not going to know why you're feeling them. Once
absolutely,
once you sit with your feeling, what is that about? Oh, then you can make the change and and that get rid of that pattern. There might be another
Abs-
layer, but that aspect of the pattern, you
absolutely,
understand your part
you
in it
understand it.
and you can do something about your part in it. And
Absolutely.
that is huge, right? It's
And
huge.
oh, it's absolutely huge, but we're also not, I want to specify that we're also not saying that it's not going to happen again, that that toxic trait is not going to rear its ugly head again. It's absolutely going to, because there are some toxic traits that we have as humans that, because of whatever traumas we've been through, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But the trick is to
Manage them, how to
manage
manage,
them.
work
Yes, I
with
was
them.
looking for the
That's
word.
the
Absolutely.
befriending. The befriending is learning
Hmm.
its purpose and working with it. That's what Eckhart Tolle was talking about. Not all his, a lot of people are kind of bagging on his stuff, and I could see some of that, but there's a lot of good stuff in what he says. And I think this is the really important
Hmm.
one to befriend. Well, Carl Jung, to befriend your dark side. It has a
Hmm.
purpose. It wants to be heard. It's a part of you. This is why we'll see lots of people spilling over the sides, road rage, coming home
Hmm.
and lashing out. To
Hmm.
tell yourself not to feel something will only,
Guilty of all of those.
you're not going to not feel it because it's impossible. We're human beings. We come with a central nervous system where we feel things all the time. It comes with the equation. Whatever we do, There's going to be a feeling involved. The trick is understanding what they are and their purpose and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, love that. I think that is so great. Oh my gosh. I just, anything else you want to share on that particular?
Um, no, I mean the biggest part of the understanding is the dark side of the ego. Once you've learned to understand it, because it's a part of you, you eventually get to where you can identify these things a lot quicker. Granted, I had to have you slap me out of it, but it only took me 2 days, whereas 6 years ago, I would have been stuck in that toxic cycle for months.
It's very challenging. This one
So
has been, I mean, I'm almost 57 and I'm just barely getting a hold of this particular part in the journey of self discovery. As you said, I wanted to bring this one up because I think it's really huge and it will tie in with what we're talking about. I see a meme floating around, especially in these spiritual communities. It says, love and ego cannot exist at the same time. That is not true, folks.
it's
When you see
not.
your child getting hurt, you're going to get angry. That's the
Absolutely.
ego. It's the dark side or what we've been taught. But anger has a good side as well.
Absolutely.
Like pride. I brought this up in other ones, but this is a great
Yeah.
time to introduce it and use it as an example of what we're talking about. Pride cometh before the fall. Not always.
Mm-mm,
Pride
mm-mm,
also, like if you get too prideful, it will get in the way. The ego will get in the way.
mm-hmm.
However, if you're like your daughter, she received some recognition, I want to say, for
Um,
her
she went and she got to compete for her school in culinary because that's what she's wanting to go to school for. And um, we think she took fourth, but we're not 100% sure. They haven't given the final numbers yet. But she technically did not get to go to state. She was very happy that her friends got to go to state, but she was very mad because she doesn't actually get to compete in state
oh,
because the little they got her on little things,
technicalities.
technicalities. So,
Mm,
her anger is valid,
yes.
but it didn't take away from her being able to be excited for her friends that are getting to go to state and compete.
And so she's angry on that end, but on the other end, she has
Hmm.
pride for showing
Hmm.
up, for making the effort and being
Yeah.
acknowledged. And she was
And
acknowledged and
that,
did
well, that pride came out.
accomplish some
It did,
things.
but the pride
Yeah.
came out from being able to be excited for her friends. Because if she didn't have that pride and she wasn't prideful in the fact that she did get to go and try it, she would have been a sore loser. She wouldn't have been able to be proud that her friends are getting to go. And she wouldn't even be excited that she gets to go and morally support them just because she's part of the culinary team. So the anger, it's there, but it's in a healthy way. And it's presenting
Yes.
itself as pride, but it's also driving her to do better for next year.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. The wanting for others what you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the blanket statement, pride cometh before the fall, has led to a lot of harm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one size fits all way of looking at pride, which, and as we're moving into deeper layers of this work, we're realizing
Mm-hmm.
everything is situational.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is no every and always where humans are concerned. We're diverse. We do things for different reasons. We have different
Absolutely.
backgrounds. We've been raised differently. We've had different environments that are going to shape our perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so these blanket statements, which you'll see me folks saying a lot as you do already, calling them out, even when I do them, I catch myself. It's so prevalent in society, this, all women, all teachers, all whatever in any way that you want to, make it a blanket statement about something is very dangerous because it doesn't address the details, and the details are
Correct.
everything. right? So I love that. Yeah. So that part I thought we should get into. Now, we're going to sort of segue at some point into bypassing, spiritual bypassing, but I thought we would bring it up real quick because it's a part of the dark side and the light side of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about this. We see people say peace, love, and light all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just be peaceful, just be positive. And I want to open it up with one really quick thing. I have found that the most positive that you can be is to be real.
Yes.
Be angry, be sad, feel whatever you're feeling without judgment or condemnation so that you can do what you said. Learn of
Absolutely.
it, why you're feeling
You
it.
cannot be angry. You cannot judge yourself for having an emotion. But that also doesn't mean that you get to go take your emotion out on other people either. What it means is you allow yourself to be exactly who you are in that particular moment, but it also gives you an opportunity to truly figure out the root of the emotion, anger, sadness, happiness. Every single emotion that we have is tied to some effect from our environment. You started dating somebody, you get super duper happy. Great. It doesn't work out. You really thought it was going to work out. Bummer. You get sad. The toxic the toxic trait is when the ego kicks in because of that emotion. But the emotions themselves are healthy. The emotions themselves are the most beautiful thing in the world that we could possibly ever experience because they help us understand ourselves that much more. But it's
It's
how we
control your actions, not your emotions.
absolutely control your
Yes.
actions,
I want to.
not your emotions.
There's a
Because
girl. Go
if
ahead.
you
Keep going.
bury your emotions, you're never going to heal from them. You're just going to patch it up. You're going to kind of like you're in the war zone or whatever, and you're just putting some super glue on it just to hold it together. The super glue's not going to hold forever. It's going to open back up and it's going to be festered and it's going to be gross. And it's the same thing with the emotions and the root of their cause. If we don't address it, we never heal and learn from it. Now,
As
it
we're
doesn't mean
looking
that
for
it's
a cure, what we don't need
mhm.
is a cure. We need to address the cause. Then we don't even need a cure, right?
There we go.
It
There we
really,
go.
yeah. The cause is what you need to address. This, I'm going to put a plug in here because I really love her post. Tanya Bollinger Lundy shared this 5 days ago, but I love it. And I think I shared it with you. If you want to change your results, don't focus on changing your behaviors. Change your focus to the beliefs that drives those behaviors.
Absolutely.
What's behind the behavior? Why am I behaving this way? What's going on? Get to the feeling. Why am I feeling this way? Where does this come from? Journaling is great, by the way, guys. When you're going through this, or even recording yourself,
Yes.
helps so much
Yes.
because it goes so fast in your mind, you could forget it real quick, right?
I like to write unwritten letters so that I
Oh,
can kind of identify, because these are letters that I never intend to send to anybody, but they help me get my emotions out. And then a few days, few weeks, few months, whenever I'm feeling better, I can go back and reread it and I'm going, oh, there it is. That's the reason why, and it's people, I think Depeche Mode
love it.
said it best. People
Oh,
are people.
really? People are
And
people. Yes, human,
people are people. We are
not
human. We
perfect.
are not perfect. None of us walk in perfection. And there's no way that we're going to be able to.
So
We are
instead of
perfect.
internalizing and making yourself bad and wrong, well, you can do that all you want, but the feelings aren't going. They're going to keep coming,
They're
which
not.
creates that internal conflict
Mm-hmm.
where you don't trust yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a pickle. That's something nobody can help you with by yourself. The inner work, this is
Absolutely.
the importance of the inner work is what the heck is up with me? Why did I do that?
Absolutely.
Where did that come from? We surprise ourselves all the time, right? We're like,
Oh
dang,
my
man, I thought I
gosh.
was done with this.
Yes, we can be on the phone for hours and we come back to, both of us are going through similar situations. We're going, dude, we thought we were done. We're never done. It is a
Yes,
spiral staircase. Once you move past a topic, you eventually come back around to it again to learn a deeper understanding of it.
yes,
Unfortunately, this work is never done. We're
yes,
constantly changing and we're constantly having to learn new versions of ourselves, as well
mhm,
as understand our past traumas. It
yes.
sucks, but it's also beautiful all at the same time.
So true. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that the hardest thing, is shifting from the judgment of our feelings and emotions to discernment. That's what we're talking
Mhm.
about. Discerning. And that's what we're doing here today, folks. This is just an open conversation, discerning these variables
Absolutely.
and what it is to be human and the role that the ego plays and that it's very significant.
It is. And
It's
I
very, very
think
significant.
I think the term used in the spiritual community most often is rid yourself of the ego. Absolutely no way. There is no possible way that we're going to be able to kill the ego. No way.
Anger, and then you get the emotions that come with,
Hmm.
the dark side of the ego and the light side of the ego. Those emotions come at different times and in different ways. And, you know, if you're judging it, we'll go back to that, you think you're bad and wrong, you just go, no, I'm not going to do that. It will come out in
It
other
will.
unhealthy ways. And people say, wow, you
Absolutely.
got some problems here, anger issues. And I don't like those, folks. I'm going to say I don't like, do you need a tissue for your issue? And you're
Yeah.
overly sensitive. You'll hear that a lot when you're trying to get real with yourself about what's going on with you. You'll hear those even in your own head. Oh, I'm just being too sensitive. No, you're not.
Oh
What,
yeah. I have to tell myself shut the heck
yeah.
up all the time.
Yes, constant the judgments that come up as you're allowing yourself to feel these can be very difficult to get beyond. That just
It can.
the not, the what we've been taught to believe about them. And so it could be running without you even realizing it. That's why it's so important to be mindful. And I love what you said.
Absolutely.
Writing is so great. Writing a letter is great because if you just let yourself write what you're really feeling unedited, there's kernels of truth in there that are
Oh,
just
absolutely.
life saving. They actually save you. You save yourself in that process. I feel, at least for myself, I've noticed. I'm like, wow, when I can let go of that. So I think, folks, that's a great way. Write letters to people before you talk to them so you can understand.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we say things, and I don't know if this is, and we're not even sure what our objective is in saying them. What's the
We
objective? What
say
am I after?
we say quite a few things that we don't mean. We say quite a few words that are absolutely hurtful because we ourselves do not understand where we are at before we go and try to communicate with this person.
Yes.
So I would rather I'm to the point in my life now where if there is an argument and I realize that I'm getting heated and I'm getting aggravated and all that kind of stuff, I'll look at the person that I'm talking to. I'm like, okay, I can't do this right now. I need to go sit with myself. I need to collect myself and I need to understand where I'm at. I will come back to you and we can have this conversation again when I'm in a better place. And I expect that from from the person that I'm with. Hey, whoo, don't come at me sideways. First of all, go check yourself. Come to me when you are in a better place and we can absolutely talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's just because I would rather say something wrong,
Yes.
but know what I'm trying to say so that I can re explain it than to say something that I don't mean and have to
Yeah.
apologize for it later because words cannot be unsaid, period. Those words are always remembered.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. This is why the importance of your objective. What are you after and saying what you're saying? It's really important to know what you're after. Not just you made me feel this way, but what do you want out of that? And is your approach going to get you that? And that's a
Absolutely.
big one with me.
Absolutely.
I struggle with that one. I lash, I don't mean to lash, but I knee jerk, you
Yeah.
know. So but yes, we've got 10 minutes left, folks. So I just think this is so wonderful. And I love the fact that you brought up your relationship so that people could understand. They have something, they have a situation that's so
Hmm.
like prevalent to draw from, you know, the romantic relationship is the most challenging and
It
deep
really
relationship
is.
for folks.
It really is. And uh I would really like to sit here and say that it's easy, but it's absolutely not, especially when two aware broken people are coming into it together and you're both going, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like Ricky Bobby. I mean, it's definitely interesting because it's been 10 years since I've been in the dating world. And like I said, a lot
Long
of this
time.
stuff I thought I had conquered and I thought I had healed. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
I did
um,
it again. That's the one that I get
yeah, it's like,
frustrated with.
yes, I did it
Why do I
again.
keep
Yes,
doing that?
yes,
And being
absolutely.
patient and loving and kind with ourselves in the process, saying, okay,
Hmm.
I when I get to beating up on myself, gosh, Trish, and I'm like, that's not gonna help you, Trish. I
Mm-mm.
had to stop and say, I love myself through this process. I'm
Hmm.
going to love myself. I'm not here to be perfect, but I am here to be real. And that goes back to what we started off with the dark side of the ego and the spiritual bypassing. I feel people have a huge attachment to happiness. And I'll bring up a closing thing here. I think I've told you this before. I was talking with a
Hmm.
friend. I was talking about how I was molested and my issue, not my issue, my passion about that topic. And she said to me, I just want you to be happy. And I said, who says I'm not happy?
Right.
I'm happiest when I can say what I need to say without the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. I'm happiness when I can
Absolutely.
be real. The most freeing, peaceful thing there is to say what you need to say. And that's difficult navigating the dark side of the ego and the light side of the ego. It gets confusing. It gets really confusing. Anything you want to say in
Absolutely.
a closing note here?
I do want to let everybody know that I do have a Facebook now because I know when I first started
Welcome
doing this,
back.
I didn't have a Facebook. I had deleted it. I do have a Facebook. It's under Opal Faye. If you type in Opal Faye, or if you go to Trisha's page, you're more than welcome to find me. I am absolutely open to answering any questions, or if you want to hear any topics Trish and I want to talk about and you can't get in touch with Trish, feel free to get in touch with me and I would
Love
absolutely be
that.
happy to bring it up to her and we could totally continue doing these. I know it's been about a year since I've done one of these with you, but I had some things that I had to work on here with me before I was even able to do anything else like this.
Ditto. We had to do that go in and burrow down and dig in. And here we are now coming up
Hmm.
with the jewels that we found from doing this work. All right, folks. So I think we're going to continue on just the broader topic of the dark side and the light side of the ego. This is part one of that. And
Hmm.
as we go along, we'll find out where we want to go to next. So stay tuned, though. This is going to be a series. However long it goes, it goes. We just want to make sure we cover all the variables. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, you guys, have a great day.
Bye.